One of the most exciting discoveries in the field of neuroscience is neuroplasticity. And I can even call it like a subfield under the field of neuroscience. And it's very exciting because it is a game changer when it comes to how we as individuals, as a human being, can change, can transform. And actually that transformation can be both ways. It can be from positive to negative, but it can also be from negative to positive as well, of course. So what that means is that neuroplasticity is the foundation of how we can heal, how we can grow as an individual, how we can heal from our past traumas, or even something that is even physical as well. So basically, neuroplasticity means our brain's ability to adapt and change. And when I said change, I'm talking about literal change, physical change. Our brain can physically change along the way. Based on what? Based on the thought that we choose to have, the thought that we choose to think, and then the emotion that we feel. And understand that each of us, a human being, an average human being in one day have about 30 to 60,000 thoughts. Why the range so big? Because there are different researches, and some said there are 30,000, some research says there are 40, 50,000, and some said there are 60,000. But let's say between 30 to 60,000 thoughts per day. And 90 to 95% of that thoughts that we think every day are on our subconscious. So it's only 5 to 10% of our thoughts every day that are actually our conscious thoughts, that we actually conscious about thinking about it. Now, what does this have to do with neuroplasticity and how we heal and how we grow as a human being? Let me give you an analogy then. Think of a forest. And when you go through this forest, there's really, really dense forest, and you want to go to a particular direction, so you start to clean up a path so you can make that turn to the left, let's say, as an example. So you make that turn to the left, so you clean up the road, you make a road along the way so you can go to that direction. Now, when you think of a thought, and you continue to think the same thought, you continue to choose to think the same thought, and then feel the same emotions, it means you continue to spend your time, your attention, your energy in creating that path. Your brain might not realize that the path that you're actually creating in this forest actually has a negative impact in our life. It's actually decreasing our quality of life because it's a path that we created, but it is based on a negative thoughts and negative emotions. And because we spend so much time making sure that the path is smooth and we maintain it that way by continue putting thoughts and attentions and emotions that are pretty much the same, then it becomes a really wide road and it's so smooth, so it is almost automatic that when we're in that forest, we always turn left. We always use that road because that's the road that we already built. So our brain doesn't know that it is actually not good for us. It is our job to consciously tell our brain, yo, brain, hold on. I know it was also me who actually contributed in the creation of this path, but now I have consciously realized that even though this path is so easy to go to, it's so easy to use this, to go through this path, it is actually not the path that I actually wanted because it doesn't lead to the life that I wanted. So this realization is key because because of neuroplasticity, with the understanding that our brain has this kind of ability, then it means you can create a new path. However, when you're about to create a new path, when there's an older path that has already been built so beautifully, so you can pass through it so effortlessly. Of course, at the beginning of building this new path, the other one, let's say the one to the right, for example, of course, in the beginning, it will feel more difficult. It will feel more exhausting. It will feel strange and awkward even, because you've been so familiar with this first path, the one to the left. It might even make you think that, really, but I'm not this kind of person. When you start to give your thoughts, when you start to choose to think differently, and it is pretty much the opposite of what you usually put your attention to, what you usually think about, it feels a bit weird at first. It feels like you're lying to yourself. But understand that is not what the reality is. It is just you're not that familiar yet with this new path that you're about to build. But if you continue to put your attention, to put your time, to put your energy, to put your effort in building and opening this new road, along the way, this new path that you're creating can also be as beautiful and as smooth or even better than the first one. And guess what? The more you put your attention to this new path, it means you're paying less attention to the old one. When some tree starts to grow and everything, so the road won't be as smooth as it was, because you don't pay too much attention on that road anymore. Kind of start to get neglected. And that's fine, because that's not the path that you've realized that's not the path that you want to go anyway. You've realized now that you want to go through this path because it leads to the kind of life that you want. It leads to the kind of life that will increase our quality of life. It leads to the kind of life that leads to growth, mentally and spiritually and physically as well. So, again, at the beginning, yes, it will feel awkward, but this is the key moments when you consciously take control, when you consciously decide to be in the driver's seat and tell our brain, nope, I know that's what, because your brain will try to get you to continue to go back to that old road, because that's its job to do that. That's what it knows. That's what it's familiar with. It is our job to raise our consciousness and then tell our brain, yes, it's true, in the past that's what's been familiar, but guess what? It becomes so familiar because we put our attention so much to it, because we put so much thoughts, so much emotion in maintaining that road. Of course it becomes so familiar because we have been putting our time for so long there. Again, with neuroplasticity, it means if you put that same amount of time, energy, and emotion as well to that new path, it will get that familiar as well. It can even be stronger. And when you continue to do that, that's where this new path, it becomes integrated into your 90 to 95% of your thoughts, because it goes into your subconscious. Because we cannot change our life significantly just by relying on the 5%. If our 90 to 95% of our thoughts are negative, and their negative thoughts, negative beliefs, leads to negative habits, leads to negative behavior, of course it will lead to negative kind of life, quality of life. So in order to change our life significantly, just lying on the 5%, it just doesn't make sense. If you really want to see significant change, then we need to dive deeper into the 95%, and how to make the new one goes into our 95%, our subconscious, by keeping our attention, consciously keeping our attention to this path. Because by that repetition, the neurons in our brains will continue to fire and wire, and it becomes stronger. And when it becomes stronger, when these neurons becomes hardwired, they goes into our subconscious. And when it goes to our subconscious, it will take over our day-to-day thoughts, which will lead to our day-to-day decisions, our day-to-day actions, attitudes, behaviors. And of course, it will lead to what kind of life that we actually have, that we're actually living, that we're actually experiencing. So understand that what I'm explaining it here with you is it's not my opinion, it's a scientific fact that our brain has the ability to do that. And this is so exciting because for so long people categorize the human brain, by categorizing it on the left brain and the right brain, or categorizing our brain, the prefrontal cortex, where it has the ability of related with our ability to reason, logic, our conscious thoughts. And then there's the limbic, the emotional brain, and a lot of our subconscious thoughts are there as well. And then there's the reptilian brain. It's related with our ability to survive, our survival mode. These are like how we categorize our brains, and there are many different categorization as well. But neuroplasticity is not about categorization of our brain. It's about the ability that it actually has. And it's always have that kind of ability for so long. We just didn't know it until we found this. By we, I'm not saying me because I'm not a scientist, but I learned from them and I practiced them, and I see the result in my life, and I see the results in my clients and the people in my surroundings as well. And it's just so exciting. And that's why if you see how I talk with you, or how I explain, I get so excited because it has changed me significantly. And I hope this video, my response here in this video, is useful. I hope it can spark that in your conscious thought. It can spark that willingness to also learn further. Of course, there are more to learn, but understand that this is a scientific fact that our brain has the ability to change, which means it will lead to how you change, how we change as an individual. It means how we can transform, how we can increase our quality of life. Thank you for being with me in this video, and I hope this is really useful, and most importantly, I hope you do use it. Very quickly, there's a research that reveals a universal pattern of phases that people go through in their journey of discovering and living their life purpose. And you can learn and find out in which phase am I in right now, and what's the next phase, and most importantly, how do I get there? Find your answers in Uncover Your Unique Purpose, a comprehensive and practical guide to discovering your life purpose. It's a research-based book, and as well covered with all the exercise you will need to discover your unique purpose. Get this book now and take a real step to your most unique self-discovery journey. This book is available on Amazon worldwide.